legitimately reeling from everything that's going on with the Valko guys. Honestly, like I have never been one to post online. Like so far as a player, I've been the kind of player who just plays quietly. I've been free to play so far, and there's content creators who share stuff about love in Deepspace, and I've watched them and stuff like that. Maybe I might comment, I'll like a few things, I'll subscribe here and there. But so far I just feel like I've been a lurker. I've been lurking around these communities. I've been playing the game quietly and stuff, and never been outspoken about anything. But wow, when the news about Valko came out and like all of these things are being revealed, even though so much of it is so murky and there's things that are just so unclear, it has really left me reeling. Like personally, I didn't even unlock Valko yet. Like I wanted to like buy an iPad so that I could play on a bigger screen instead of my phone. So I was just like saving up money, and I was so excited to get back into playing the game, especially when I found out that they were going to be revealing the 6 love interests. And I was just like seeing everyone online posting about Valko, and I was like seeing all these cute scenarios between him and MC, and just seeing the way that he looked. And I was like, I don't understand the people who are hating on him. Like, he is really good looking, and the werewolf concept is so interesting. And I was like, obviously he's not gonna have his 4 ears 24/7. Like, Silas isn't a dragon all the time, his horns and his tails and his wings, like, they disappear and he takes on the form of a human being. So I felt that it was going to be the same with Valko, and I just wasn't understanding the hate that was really being directed towards Valko. It was all just so confusing, because like me personally, I was so excited. I was like, the more the merrier. And I felt like the people who are saying that Valko, he came out of nowhere, and like there was no foreshadowing whatsoever, there was no warning that he was gonna be there. I'm like, clearly you have not been paying attention, because if you have been paying attention, like you would know that it has been speculated to the point that like people have taken it as fact that there would be a 6th love interest. It made sense. The whole foil thing, like they have their opposites with Xavier and Silas, and Zane and Caleb, and then Raphael would need his opposite, and that would be Valko. Okay, sorry, I forgot what I was saying. Like, I got interrupted for a bit. Okay, so as I was saying, like the people who are saying that there was no foreshadowing whatsoever for this 6th love interest character, I'm just like, you clearly have not been following along with the lore, like it was so clear, if you were following along the whole time, that there was room for 6 love interests. Like, I've been playing this game, like I haven't been there since day one, but I've been playing this game for a while now, and I've been following along with the lore because everything is so interesting and so engaging. And like I think when I first started playing the game, it was like a couple of months after Silas had finally been like unveiled, and a few months before Caleb was unveiled. And I knew even then that Caleb wouldn't be the last love interest that was going to be unveiled. Like, there would be another one after him. So it's just news to me, and it's shocking to me that there's people who are like, oh my god, like why are they unveiling another love interest when 5 of them was enough, and they didn't give us any warning that there was going to be another one. To me, what that's giving? Like, it's giving those people who like on book talk and stuff like that, they say that they read only the dialogue and they don't read the prose. Like, that's what this is giving. Like, people who play the game and they're only there maybe for like their love interest, or they barely read the world underneath or play the main storyline, and they only want to engage with the cards of their specific love interests. Those are the kinds of people who I feel like read the dialogue only in books, because like if you were paying attention, you would have known that there would be another love interest. So anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, I feel like I went off on a tangent, but I'm still just like really shocked that like they're really actually canceling this character. Like, when I first saw it, I like saw this one video, and it was like, oh, they're canceling Valko, and I'm like, what is that person talking about? Like, people are gonna say anything these days to get views. And I continue on my merry way, like scrolling and stuff like that, and then I see all these other videos also popping up being like, well, guys, it's, Infold has just announced that they're canceling Valko. And I'm like, wait, like serious? Like you're actually serious? Like they're actually canceling the whole character, like after everything. And I was just so shocked. I just kept thinking about like all the preparation that I've been putting in, like the money that I've been saving because I recently started this job, and the money that I've been saving to buy a new iPad so I can finally play on a bigger screen, and how I've been like I haven't had the time lately to properly play the game like these past 2 months. So it's like I've just been like having this anticipation of like, okay, I'm gonna buy this iPad, and now that I finally have a job, I'm not gonna be free to play anymore. I'm finally gonna start spending some money, you know. And I was just so excited that all of this, like this whole revealing of the six love interest, was coinciding with me finally having enough money to get an iPad so I can play on the bigger screen. You know what I'm saying? Like I was so excited, and now, like, and just like seeing the things that were posted about Valko, how he has like a similar personality to Raphael. You know, seeing the annoying yet playful and cute interactions that he had with MC, like I felt like there was so much life and potential in this character, and I could feel that the creators, the developers, they put so much hard work and just like their everything into the storyline, into the character, and I was really looking forward to it. And when I heard that it was gonna be taken away before I even had a chance to actually like really get my hands on it, it was just so disappointing and so heartbreaking. And I didn't cry. I've been seeing comments of people saying that they are crying and stuff like that, and I understand. Like I felt like crying, but I held myself back. But I did feel like crying, honestly. Like there was a moment where I was seeing that, and it was dawning on me that there actually like there was an actual announcement from Info saying that they're removing the character, and I was like my heart just fell through the floor. I was so shocked. Anyway, like I guess everything just begs the question as to why is all of this happening, you know. I mean, like playing this game, the company hasn't been perfect and stuff like that. There have been problems here and there, you know, little controversies blooming up here and there. I mean, I haven't been playing the game for too long, close to 2 years now, but even in that time I could see that this game was just, I don't know, like it was just gaining a lot of negative attention that I didn't understand. Like people having all of these comments about it, calling it a gooner game and all that, because they added a period kind of part to the game. And then, you know, I've been hearing about crazy fans, like crazy Chinese netizen fans. Not saying that all of them are crazy, but I hear that there's like a good portion of them that are. And, you know, just like a lot of different things here and there. And I feel like, you know, as the quiet lurking player that I've been, I've just been, you know, ignoring it and engaging with the game in my own space, in my own time, you know, not really engaging too much with the discourse, negative or positive, about the game. Well, maybe more on the positive side, because, you know, there's content creators that I've been following who engage with it. And, you know, I feel like I should have seen this coming, but at the same time, it's like I didn't see this coming. Like, I am left reeling. I really don't know what other word to use, how else to explain it. This is just, and what's really shocking is the timing of it all. Like, it all happened so quickly, like just like that. Like one moment it was like they're revealing Valko, and then there's just all of this, you know, crazy stuff going on online. People are like really vehemently rejecting Valko, and I'm like, okay, what is wrong with these people? But you know, I was gonna do what I always do, just lurk around and ignore and be like, I'm just gonna, you know, play the game and engage with it on my own space and my own time. Like I'm not gonna concern myself too much about these people who are hating on this, because I am here for the game. I really like the game and stuff like that. And I didn't feel like the comments and the hatred that Valko was receiving was going to interfere too much with the game, because, you know, Caleb and Silas, they also received this kind of negative pushback, and, you know, nothing really too bad or as bad as this happened with Silas or Caleb. So I was like, you know, it's gonna be fine, it's gonna die down. we're gonna receive one of Valko's myths, and once we see his deeper storyline, people are gonna be understanding of him, and and accepting of him. And even if they're not, well, people, you can just ignore the love interest if you're not there for them. Be there for the parts that you're there for. I feel like Love and Deepspace isn't the kind of game that's like shoving all the love interest in your face. Like, I feel like there is a room to be selective with what you engage with in the game. So that's what I thought would happen, but apparently not. It just got crazier out of nowhere. All of a sudden it was like people were talking about reporters in China and the government in China getting involved. And now it's not just an issue with Chinese, the crazier portion of Chinese fans and info. Like, now it's these other parties getting involved. And when I heard that, I was like, what? Like, what? That's so insane. Like, what do you mean? It's not my country. It's not my country. I just feel like maybe I had a lot of feelings about this, but after a while I was like, okay, maybe I need to take a step back, because what do you mean that a video game has escalated to the point that a government is getting involved? Like, maybe I'm the one who needs to take a step back and reevaluate this whole thing. Maybe there is something that's problematic that requires government entities and whatnot to get involved with this. So I was just like, looking around, researching, seeing what other people were saying online. And apparently there's this issue of like the game Love and Deepspace made references to this highly controversial experimentation or something like that. I don't know what to call it, that happened during World War II. I don't want to sound like an expert on this, nor do I want to sound like I know what I'm talking about. Like, this is not my depth, this is not my area of expertise. I don't know what exactly this is, but from what I have heard about it, it does sound like something that's really heavy. It does sound like something that should be treated with sensitivity and with care. Like, I understand that part, like, if it was dealing with something that I know more about, like maybe the Holocaust or the transatlantic slave trade, I would also want something like that to be treated with the right amount of sensitivity and care, so I can be understanding to that. But then it was like, I heard that this whole lore with this 731 or 713 experimentation, that specific number, it happened 2 months ago, and it was Xavier's world underneath, and yet these fans are only getting upset about it now when it's concerned with the Xavier, with Valko. And it's like, I'm just not seeing the connection. I don't understand, why are they being angry about it now? Like, if, like, okay, fine, I understand that this is sensitive material, I understand that this is something that you would want to have handled with the appropriate amount of care, but it's like, if you were going to be angry, why weren't you angry 2 months ago? I feel like that's a fair question to ask. Like, and also, why, if you are going to be angry about this, why not direct the anger towards the right channels? Like, this had nothing to do with the Valko. Like, Valko, I'm not seeing how this has anything to do with him. I just feel like he's really being scapegoated in all of this. Yeah, I just really feel like Valko is being made the scapegoat in all of this. Like, when I evaluate this whole situation with the very limited and murky knowledge that I have, it just seems clear to me that there's all of these shady powers at play, like, from the discourse that I've seen about this and the different ways that people are theorizing about why this could be happening. Some people seem to be blaming the crazy Chinese fans, and I don't know, I just feel like that can't be the number one big reason for all of this, because it's like, okay, fine, even if Info was doing this with the Chinese fans, I just don't see them throwing away all of that hard work and all of that money just to appease fans. You know, like Infold, I don't think that they're a small company that they can just be bullied like that. Like, okay, sure, players who are dropping a lot of money, like maybe they're pulling out, but it's like they have gone so global, so international. Like me personally, when I first started this game, I was playing it back home in my country in Africa. You know, like I feel like when people are thinking about the global market, their first thought isn't about Africa, you know? And yet I feel like this game has gone so international. It has reached so many parts of the world that, you know, like it reached me where I was. Like right now, okay, like I'm not in Africa, like I'm in the US attending college, but it's like when I first started playing the game, like I only recently moved here. When I was in my country and I was playing the game for a really long time, and so I just feel like, you know, this game has reached so many people. Like it has really gone on a global scale in terms of fame, and I feel like that translates as well into the money and the revenue that they were getting. And I just feel like I don't see them being a small enough company that they were being bullied by Chinese fans to the point that they would scrap Valko's whole storyline. And it's not even like it's just Valko's storyline, you know, like with the whole Love and Deepspace lore and all of the characters, everything plays into everything else. You know, it's so interconnected like a spider web. If you unhook like one part of it, I feel like every other part of it kind of unravels. And that's one thing that I loved so much about the game. It's how good the story writing is. I feel like that is really a true mark of good story writing. It's when everything is so interconnected like that, and yet it still makes sense, and yet there's still so much suspense and mystery. Like Love and Deepspace really managed to serve that. So it's not just Valko's storyline that's being affected here, it's the whole entire storyline. It's MC's storyline. It's Raphael and Silas and Caleb and Zane, and Xavier, it's all of them. Like the whole entire thing, the whole entire world of Love and Deepspace is gonna be unraveled because of this. And it's like, if it was the Chinese fans, like wouldn't they have been able to see that? You know, like this would have affected everything. If the company had spent so much time and so much money developing this character and having plans to unveil and debut this character, and then you want this character canceled and removed, that's, you're just delaying everything else, because now they have to sit down and rewrite everything and replan everything and reshape everything to only fit the narrative that you wanted to fit. And it's like, okay, if you were complaining because you felt that Valko being debuted is going to delay the updates for the other characters, including maybe your favorite love interest, well, now it's like with the Valko being cancelled, the other love interest and the whole entire storyline is going to be even more delayed, because now everything has to be completely reframed. So I don't know what it was that like, okay, yeah, so like now it's like everything has to be completely reframed. So like if that was your intention, like I don't see how causing this to happen would, like, you understand what I'm saying, like, right? Like I don't see how any of this would work in helping you to get your goals met or whatever. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense that Chinese fans being upset about this should be the only reason or the biggest reason why this is happening, you know. And you know, other reasons that I'm seeing floating around online are that, you know, this seems to be something political, and I am led to agree. You know, if this is so big to the point that all of these reporters and high profile magazines are getting involved and the government is getting involved, then I do feel like there's definitely something political going on afoot. There's also people theorizing that this could be something to do with competition. You know, like people, like other companies that were making otome, automate games. Yeah, like they wanted in on the market that Love and Deepspace had attracted, but it was like Love and Deepspace was this huge entity within that market, and they couldn't go over that. So it was like, you know, maybe they wanted to mess with Love and Deepspace. I don't know. Like, I'm not making any kinds of like claims. Please, I'm not making claims. I am just sharing what people are theorizing, because I don't have the proof, I don't have the evidence to make any claims. I'm not pointing my finger at any single company. Like, that is not what I'm trying to do here. I'm just sharing like how people feel and what I've seen about, you know, how they're theorizing about the why. Because, you know, I feel like with something this big happening, and with the way that it's playing out, the why is just so confusing, and we all want to know like what happened. Because if I remember correctly, like Infold released a statement saying that no, they would not be canceling Valko. Like, it seemed to be very firm. They were like, yeah, like we're definitely not gonna do that despite what these fans are saying, you know, we are sticking with Valko. And then it's like in 24 hours, like in a day, they were like, oh, actually, we're completely scrapping Valko. And it's like, that's crazy. That's a crazy short amount of time for a company to go from having the stance of like, okay, we spent so much money on this and so much time, like we are going with our decision, to being like, oh, actually, you know, we're gonna completely scrap all of our hard work, all of our money, and, you know, probably the people at the bottom of this company are gonna be really hard hit and affected, to the point that I feel like people could potentially lose their jobs at Infold, you know? Like, this is not small things. This is something big that's happening. And I just feel like, like, what is it that I'm trying to say? I've lost my train of thought. Right, I was talking about how people are theorizing that some competitors of Infold, they did something dirty, they did something shady in order to try to sabotage Love and Deepspace, in order to get their own games out in the market. And I don't know, I guess it goes up, it's up to you to decide how you feel about that. It's not impossible. Okay, again, I'm not pointing my finger at any specific company, and I am not making any specific claims or allegations. Okay, this is all conjecture at this point, and there's still so much that we don't know. And I would hate to point fingers unnecessarily and stuff. But if this were true, if it were true that this is something that the competitors of Infold are doing, and that they went and got the government involved, they went to make this political, to take down Infold so that they could get their own games out and have a share in the market, that would just be like really shocking. And it would just be like there's just so many thoughts that I have. Because like when this whole thing with the Valko got announced, like I was quick with it. I was like so angry, I was heartbroken, I was disappointed, and in the heat of the moment, I deleted the game, like completely uninstalled it from my phone and everything. And I was like what should I do next? Because this game has meant so much to me up till this point, you know. Like when I first started to play this game, like I was just in a really, really dark period of my life, you know. Like I don't need to come at this with the whole cliche sob story of like, yeah, I was in this down period of my life and I found the game and it meant everything to me. But to an extent, that is my experience with Love and Deepspace, you know. Like I remember when I found this game, it was during a time when I had to leave school. Like I couldn't finish school, so I had to leave, and I had to stay home by myself all day, you know, 4 days. Like I think I stayed home for close to over 2 years. I was just home, and I remember like watching all of my friends graduate. You know, they posted all of these beautiful pictures on Instagram and stuff, and I was just home, you know, by myself. there was no one really there. My family members, like, they were at work and at school and stuff, but due to like different, like, these personal situations, I couldn't go to school at the time. And like I don't know, like, isolation, it really messes with you. Okay, I remember that it came to a point where I felt like my voice was a stranger to me. Like, I would try to speak out loud, and it would just feel so weird because it had gotten to this point where I barely spoke to anyone because that's how isolated and alone I was. And then it was around my birthday when I found the game, and just like the characters, they really pulled me in. The whole entire world, like, it felt like a world that I could just escape to, where I wasn't alone. I had all of these companions, and they were just so real. The way that they were characterized, they had these differing personalities, all of them. They each felt like distinct people. Even when you were texting them on the phone, they each had different texting styles, which made it feel like they were different people. And their faces, they all just looked so different, their mannerisms, their styles, and it was all just so amazing. Like, it filled this part of my day where I craved connection with other people, even though, of course, like, I knew, of course, that these aren't real people. This isn't like a real connection that I'm making, but it was just nice to have. It was better for that part of me, like, to have it filled in with love and Deepspace than to be completely by myself. So that's what this game means to me. I have been deeply invested in this game in so many ways, emotionally, with my time. I was willing to invest in it with my money now that I finally have a job and I managed to start college, and so this game has honestly meant a lot to me. And when I think about losing that, when I think about the possibility that there could be these companies out there that sabotaged Infold, it just makes me so upset and so angry, because, like, why? Like, are you serious? Like, I feel like that's like one of the lowest things you could do, because if you truly had what it took to make a good game, you would have just made a good game. And the people who wanted to be a part of that game, the people who recognized the talent, the imagination, the creativity that went into making that game, they would have just seen that and decided to be a part of it. Like, there was no need for any of this to happen. Again, if this is the reason why, okay, if I'm not saying that it is, I'm not saying that companies sabotaging Love and Deepspace and Infold is the reason why. I'm just, again, sharing what the internet theories are. Okay, so if this is the reason why, it's just so low. Like, I feel like so many people were willing to engage with Love and Deepspace because they saw and recognized the talent, the creativity, the effort and hard work, the soul that went into making the game and the characters, into just making the whole world, that Love and Deepspace was. And I just feel like, if you, and by you I mean the company, like, if a company, a theoretical, metaphorical, non-specific company had what it took to be original, to be creative, to be imaginative, to be all of those things, like, that would have been recognized by people, and that alone would have been the reason why people would have stuck with it, and they could have had a share in the market space. But again, if this non-specific theoretical company was the reason for all of this, I just feel like it's setting a really bad precedent, because if you can destroy another company by involving politics and getting what I have seen is being called water fans. I guess these are like fake fans that are planted within a fandom to kind of like disrupt things. If you can do that, like, what's stopping that from being done to you? Because, like, okay, you get rid of this company and then you step in to take their space. It's like, okay, what about all the other companies? Like, what if they become overzealous and decide that, okay, I want to get rid of you, you can step out of the way. So I just feel like, because you already set the precedent of doing all of these shady, dirty things. Like the same thing can be done to you, and probably it can be done even easier this time because it's been done before, you know. So I just feel like, yeah, you know, and it really gave me such a bad, icky feeling when I heard this theory, when I saw it floating around online, because when this whole Love and Deepspace thing shut down, like I was seriously thinking to myself, like, okay, maybe I should check out other companies, you know. Like I heard there's all these other otome 3D character games and stuff like that that are coming out. Maybe, you know, since they are canceling Valko and I'm really not with that decision, and I just don't see how I can continue on playing when I know that there's like this empty spot in the game, and that empty spot has stripped away from so much potential of what the future of the game could be. I was like, okay, maybe I should look into other games. But then it's like, now that I've heard this theory of like, okay, what if other companies which are developing these other games are the reason why all of this is happening? See, now I feel icky. Now I feel like I don't want to look into these other games, because what if I'm unknowingly supporting a company that had a hand in these shady, dirty moves, you know? Like, what if I am adding on, like, what if I'm playing into their hands by switching sides and going over to their side, when it's like they were the reason why Silas and Raphael and all of them got taken away from me, you know? So now I don't know what to do. I don't know what move to make, because this whole thing is just crazy. Like it's wild, honestly. And I don't know. I'm really hoping that this turns out to be something that, well, it's a crazy moment, but we make it, we get past it. You know, I'm really hoping that they can bring Valko back. I'm seeing people online saying things like, you know, maybe it would be a possibility for Infold to make Valko available on international servers and not on Chinese servers. And I feel like that would be really nice if they could, honestly, but maybe to an extent it's wishful thinking, because they would have to write two separate storylines. There would be the Chinese storyline where there is no Valko, and then there would be the storyline, like the international storyline, where there is a Valko. And it's like, I don't know, you know. And there's also just like the issue that I feel like now that Valko has been cancelled, this threatens everything else in the game, not just the storyline, but I feel like the existence of the game itself. Because if this is political, I feel like it has the potential to escalate to the point where the whole entire game gets scrapped, you know. Because like, why would they stop at only Valko disappearing, you know? I just feel like if it is political, it has the potential to take the whole game away. And I don't know, it's just really, really sad that it has come to this, honestly. Like, so many people were so invested in all of this. I'm seeing so many people be heartbroken and upset. And I just keep thinking about, you know, the people who are not at the top of the company, you know, just the everyday people who were so passionate about this, because I'm sure they were passionate. It's hard to make a story this good and this engaging with this much amount of soul in it if you yourself are not passionate, you know? Like, and as someone who is really creative myself, someone who is artistic and really loves stories and, you know, that kind of thing, I just feel like my heart weeps for those people who really put their all into this. And just knowing Chinese work culture, just knowing how hard they must have worked for this character, and how I heard they even had like a little nickname for Valko. They called him Xiao Lang or something like that. Just showing how attached they were to this character themselves, how happy and excited they were to unveil him to us, and now it's like that's just being scrapped. Their hard work is being thrown in their faces. It's just really sad to think about all of the people this is going to affect, you know, not just the players, but the people behind the scenes who worked so hard for this. And it's really unfortunate, honestly. It's really unfortunate. So yeah, you know, I wish there was a way that Valkyrie could stay. Like, that would be my preferred outcome, is if like wow, I would be so happy if Infold could could just announce to us and be like, actually, like, we're bringing Valko like back, you know, like, you don't have to worry, we're not canceling him, we're uncanceling him, we're bringing him back to you. Like, because I was so excited, guys, I was so excited to engage with his character. And I just, it's really sad. It really is. You know, if there was just some way, that this game could be saved, I really hope that there is. I really hope that they find it, honestly. So yeah, anyway, those are just my 2 cents. Those are just my 2 cents. Honestly, I don't know what else to say about this. I'm still just in shock. There's still so much that's unknown, honestly, and I hope that you guys can share with me your thoughts and your feelings. You know, if you get any updates or information that I might have missed, things that I don't know, I really would want to know, because I really want to get to the bottom of what is happening. I really want to understand and know why exactly this is happening. I want to put the blame where the blame is supposed to be put. Oh, wait. Before I end this, I just feel like, you know, like, as I was saying earlier, you know, there's just all of these forces and powers at play that have had a hand in the destruction of Valko, and, you know, what I'm beginning to view actually as the destruction of love in Deepspace, because it's really looking like that. Because even if the game goes on, even if they bring Valko back, it's like there's always just going to be that dark shadow that's lingering and lurking around, you know, a threat that, because things got political and messy like this before, to the point where within 24 hours, Infold could announce that they are scrapping a character that they spent so much time and money on. If things could get like that, like, there must be something really powerful behind the scenes, you know, to make the game and the company reach that point. So even if things are somehow salvaged and Valko's brought back, I just feel like it's never going to be the same. So that's why I'm saying, like, I'm viewing this as kind of like a destruction of the game, you know. I just feel like, you know, part of what is added onto this, honestly, is just people not liking women having things that they like. Honestly, maybe I'm reaching, but I do feel like indirectly that does have a kind of like effect on this, you know. Like, I just feel like it's been no secret that ever since this game went as global as it did, because for a while I'm sure that it was quiet, it was new and everything like that, and then it went big, like it completely blew up. Like, as I said earlier, it even reached me where I was in Africa, and I just feel like people don't really think about Africa as a marketplace, you know, like a place for marketing. They don't really think about it in terms of like, does this game or this product or this thing that I'm making, does it appeal to that? Like, it's certainly not the first thing in people's mind when they think about an international market, you know. I just feel like in a lot of different things, Africa ends up being so overlooked by people and by companies and things like that, that when something does finally reach us, I feel like that is that thing really going global and international. And like, the game really made its rounds, okay? It was really successful. And part of that, what is it that I'm trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that, yeah, the game was really successful. It reached an African girlie like me where I was, and it was just really successful in women's spaces, and I just feel like that pissed off a lot of people. People were not happy with that, and it's not even like something like that I feel, like, it's a fact. Like, it did piss off a lot of people. There were so many guys and just like people in general who were not happy that this was something that women were into. And it's just like a weird thing with patriarchy, where it's like, it's okay when things are marketed to women, in the sense that it's like if it's something that is intended to like control women or be something that they can profit off of women but not necessarily benefit women, it's like people don't have a problem with those kinds of things, you know. Like, I don't know, like shaving or makeup or whatever, you know. But then when it comes to things that are marketed to women, and women are the ones who are like, wow, I really love this. I really, this is something that matters and is important to me. You know, like, you know, the romance books, K-pop, Love and Deepspace, you know, when it's something like that that's made for women, something that genuinely makes women happy, I just feel like that's when something gets torn apart. It gets scrutinized and criticized, and it's just left in this unstable, vulnerable state that I feel like things that are liked for that are liked by men and made for men, like they just don't get that same kind of attention that things that are liked by women and made for women get, you know? And I just feel like in the case of Love and Deepspace, this isn't something that played a direct hand in its downfall, but I feel like it played an indirect hand in its downfall. You know, just like the way that it was loved by women and the way that that caused it to be scrutinized and criticized and hated and stuff like that. I feel like it left Love and Deepspace without a shield. It was left in this really unstable, vulnerable place where it was just so shaky and it could topple at any moment. And yeah, it's just really unfortunate that people have these kinds of feelings. Like they just don't like women to have nice things, honestly. That's just how I feel, and I feel like I have justification and reason for thinking and feeling that way in this situation, you know. But yeah, anyway, I feel like, oh my goodness, I've talked for so long. If you have made it this far, honestly, thank you. Yeah, I just felt like I felt moved to say this. You know, I felt like I couldn't continue on in my lurking ways because this was just too outrageous. This was too outrageous. This was too shocking. The way that it's all just playing out. Yeah, and I really just can't wait to get more information about what exactly is happening, why this is happening. So, you know, please just, if you have any theories, any opinions about the theories that I have shared or the theories that other people have shared, if you have concrete information, please definitely share that. Okay? And thank you so much, guys. You know, I guess we're all just gonna try and find our way through this, you know, whether that's by deleting the game or whatever it is. I sincerely wish you all the best.